if you want to know about any kind of organism, you have to know about its features, characteristics and all. So in our syllabus we have to know about many kind of organism. So there are so many aspects are there by which we can categorize, by which we can know about the characteristics of them. So the first aspect is respiration. So what is respiration? That we have to know first. Respiration is a biochemical process in which the cells of an organism obtain energy by combining oxygen and glucose, resulting in the release of carbon dioxide, water and ATP. Now we have to know about the types of respiration. On the basis of presence or absence of oxygen, we can categorize respiration into two types. First one is the anaerobic respiration and the second one is the aerobic respiration. So what is anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration is the type of respiration through which cells can break down sugar to generate energy in the absence of oxygen. That means in absence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration takes place. So the organism which go through the anaerobic respiration are called as anaerobes, like parasites present in muscle, intestines, etc. Now what is aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration is the type of respiration through which cells can break down sugars to generate energy in the presence of oxygen. That means aerobic respiration is the type of respiration where the oxygen is present. So the organism which grow through the aerobic respiration are called as aerobes. Now the aerobic respiration can be categorized into two types. First one is the terrestrial and the second one is the aquatic. Terrestrial means who receives the oxygen from the air are called as aerobic from air are called as terrestrial organism, and the respiration is called as terrestrial respiration. Now the example is lizard, human, etc. Now aquatic respiration. The organism which receives oxygen from dissolved O2 in water are called as aquatic organism, and the respiration is called as aquatic respiration. Sponge, hydra, etc. are going through the aquatic respiration. Now there are few special type of organism which are present in water, but they don't receive the oxygen from water. They take oxygen from the air, like penguin, whale, seahorses are the animals which live in water but don't take the oxygen from there. They take the oxygen from the air. Now according to habitat, we can categorize the animals into three types. First one is the animals who lives in water. Second, the animals who lives in land. Third, the animals who lives in air. So the first type is water animals. Now these water animals can be categorized into three types. Here you can see three types. First one is the fresh water, second one is the brackish water, third one is the salt water. So we have to know about the fresh water. Generally leech, crab, prawn, various type of fishes like rohu, katla, etc. present in fresh water. Now it may comes into mind that what is fresh water? Fresh water means that does not link in with the does not link with the sea or any salty content water. So they are fresh water. In a river we can get the fresh water. In pond we can get the fresh water like this. Now the brackish water. Some invertebrates like prawn, echinurus, spivunculus, etc. And some vertebrates like crocodile, mammals, dolphin, etc. are the example of brackish water animals. So what is brackish water? Brackish water is that area where the river get linked with the sea. Now this brackish water actually very much what we can say very much found in estuaries, places where freshwater river meets the sea. The resulting combination of freshwater and salty water is actually called brackish water. The brackish water spelling is BRACKISH. Next, salt water. Salt water means in sea we can get the salt water. The salinity is 3.5%. That means in 1000 ml of water contain the 35 grams of salts, mostly sodium chloride dissolved into it. Next, based on the present in level of water, if they are present in free water. Next, benthos. That means depending on the present in level of water, we can categorize the animals into two types. First one is the free water, then the benthos. So within free water we can get the plankton. Plankton are the diverse collection of organisms that live in large bodies of water and are able to swim against the current. Next, phytoplankton. Phytoplankton are autotrophic component of plankton community and a key part of oceans, seas and freshwater basin ecosystem. Next, the larva. Stage of the development in many animals occurring after birth or hatching and before the adult form is reached. Zooplankton. Zooplankton are a type of heterotrophic plankton that ranges from microscopic organisms to large species such as jellyfish. Next, the nekton. Nekton refers to the aggregate of actively swimming aquatic organisms in a body of water. Next, the benthos. Benthos is the community of organisms that live in or near the seabed, river, lake or stream bottom. The examples of benthos are bivalves, sea anemone, corals, etc. are the examples of benthos. Now, present on land. The animals present on land, like we can get the insect. Now, insect have two types. Insect have two stages, not actually two stages. Now, the larva and pupa present in water, and the rest of the stages are present in land. Now, lungfish are there, amphibians are there, mammals are there which present on land. Now, present on both land and water. So, who are there? Platyhelminthes, annelids, mollusks, arthropods, fishes like Sirhinus mrigala, Channa sp, Cyprinus sp are there which lives in both land and water. Here I want to add something that there are few fishes who can live in air also. They actually have the accessory respiratory organ within their body, and this accessory respiratory organ help them to get the oxygen from the air. As well as they can present in water, but they can also present in air also. Next, depending on the food intake, we can categorize the animals into three types: free living, carrion feeder, and association of two different species. Now, free living, that means who can get the food from the by their own. They can get the food from the environment. The first type is herbivores, second type is carnivores, third type is the omnivores. Now we have to know about the herbivores. So, who are the herbivores? Okay, herbivore is an animal that gets energy from eating plants and only plants. Okay, now what does the herbivores means? That herbivores actually the animal who lives on the herbs. From the herbs we get the term herbivores. Okay, now the example of the herbivores are, the deer, rabbits, cows, sheep, goats, elephants, giraffes, horses, pandas are the examples of herbivorous animal. Now our second type is carnivore animals. So who are carnivores? Okay, carnivore is actually the noun which is that means an animal that feeds on other animal. So if we want to know about the carnivore, that means if we want to know about the definition, a carnivore is meaning meat eater. That means it is an organism that derives its energy and nutrient requirement from a diet consisting mainly or exclusively of animal tissue, whether through predation or scavenging. So what are the example of carnivores? The example of carnivores are lion, cat, sharks, leopard, polar bear, frogs, cheetah, etc. Now the third type is omnivores. So what are the omnivores animals? Okay, omnivores meaning an animal or person that eats a variety of food of both plant and animal. So the example of omnivores are bears, pigs, raccoons, opossum, hedgehogs, skunks, squirrels, rats, mice are the examples of omnivore animals. Now our second type, that means free living, then our next part is carrion feeder. Now we have to know about the carrion feeder. The noun carrion refers to the dead and rotting flesh of an animal. So the word carrion comes from a Latin word caro, which means meat. But carrions is usually considered unfit for human consumption. So the carrion feeder means the animal that feed on dead or rotting flesh. The scavengers are actually called carrion feeders. Like many invertebrates are there, like carrion beetles, some vultures are there, they are called carrion feeders. Now the next part is association of two different species. Here three category come: commensal, symbionts and parasitism. So what is commensal? Commensal living in a relationship in which one organism derives food or other benefits from another organism without hurting or helping it. Now the examples of commensals are bacteria. So there are so many bacteria present which acts as commensal. Now the example of commensal relationship: commensalism is actually the type of relationship where one of the organism gets benefit greatly from the another organism and the other is not helped but is not harmed or damaged from the relationship. So the example is between cattle-grades and cattle. Okay, now the symbionts. So what do you mean by symbionts? Symbionts are actually the relationship between two different organisms living in close physical association, typically to get the advantage of both. So the example of symbiosis is, okay, before that we have to know about the symbiosis, which is any type of close or long-term biological interaction between two different biological organisms, be it mutualistic, commensalistic or parasitic. Now the organism is called as symbionts and the relationship actually called symbiosis. So symbiosis present in, here you can see the picture of a fish. So in a cleaning symbiosis, the clownfish feeds on small invertebrates that otherwise have potential to harm the sea anemone, and the fecal matter from the clownfish provides the nutrients to the sea anemone. The clownfish is protected from the predators by the anemone stinging cells to which the clownfish is immune. The clownfish emits a high-pitched sound that deters butterfly fish which would otherwise eat the sea anemone, making the relationship appear mutualistic. Now the last one is the parasitism. Parasitism is a symbiotic relationship between species where one organism, that means the parasite, lives on or in another organism, that is host, causing it some harm, and it is adapted structurally to this way of life. There are so many parasites are present in human, like the lice, the mites, ticks are present, which are acts like parasitism. Now we have to know the next category. Depending on excretion, we can categorize the animals into three types: amniotelic organism, uricotelic organism, and then the euricotelic organism. Now we have to know what is amniotelic organism. Okay, so now in screen you can see the amniotelic, in second uricotelic, then euricotelic. So amniotelic organism excretes nitrogenous waste as soluble ammonia. Most of the aquatic animals, including protozoans, crustaceans, platyhelminthes, cnidarians, poriferans, fishes, are generally amniotelic organism. Next, the urotelic organism. A urotelic organism excretes excess nitrogen as urea. So you have to know that urea is less toxic and it needs less water in comparison to ammonia. So urotelic organism include cartilaginous fish, few bony fishes, adult amphibians, and mammals including humans. Now the uricotelic organism. The uricotelic organism excretes uric acid or its salts. In comparison to ammonia and urea, uric acid is the least toxic and least soluble in water. It can be stored in cell and body tissues without toxic effects, and thus needs least water and is highly efficient mode of excretion in comparison to other methods, that means than amniotelic and urotelic. So the example of uricotelic organisms are arthropods, including the insects, lizards, snakes, birds, etc. The excreta of uricotelic organism is typically white paste. Now, depending on life cycle, we can categorize the organism into two types: who goes through the direct development and who goes through the indirect development. Direct development: if an animal after birth or emergence from an egg differs from adult in comparatively minor details apart from not having the functional sex organs, the development is said to be direct. There is no larval stage and no metamorphosis. Now, this direct development is actually the widespread alternate reproductive mode in living amphibians, and that is characterized by the evolutionary laws of free living aquatic larval stage. Now we have to know about the next one, that is indirect development. So we have to know what is indirect development. Indirect development: with indirect development, an animal's birth form is very different from the adult form. The embryo hatches from the egg in a larval form. the larva undergoes drastic metamorphosis in order to achieve the adult stage. So the indirect development is a type of development in which an embryo develops into a mature individual without involving a larval stage. Now, who goes through the indirect development? Some echinoderms, amphibians, insects undergo indirect development. Butterflies, dragonflies, frogs are there for the indirect development. Now we have to know about what are the difference between the direct development and indirect development. Okay. In direct development, young ones may resemble the adult, where in indirect development the young hatchling do not resemble the adult. In direct development, intermediate stages are absent, and indirect development, that means in indirect development, intermediate stages are present. Metamorphosis is absent in direct development. Metamorphosis is seen in indirect development. So the examples of direct development: hydra, man, and examples of indirect development: frog, cockroaches, etc.